All right, so you've been given this document that I'm screenshotting.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and see out there.
I gave him the signal.
I really moving swiftly along.
Sorry, I'm having issues here. Kyle needs to stop drinking beer. All right, so we're going to go through this document really quick.
I'm not going to sign you more than one game a day. 5 steps was like Roberto did an eliminated this game and then did Google that night. And if there's enough of a break or it makes sense, then we'll do it. But by and large, I'm only going to sign you to one game. So you're not obligated to represent the B side. If you want to represent the B side, that's up to you. If you do it, you can email, tell me you did it, I'll retro sign you to the game so you get paid for it. And if the system in case something happens, you sign to it for 5 reasons, etc. But and you can do as many games as you want. You want to do a high school game and then A side, and you feel like going to B side, and you take to the fifth on the planet, that's up to you. I'm only assigning you to one of the games. All right, and then everything else under that is on you. I would caution some of you against buying off more than you can chew. Nothing like having a men's Division 1 3 o'clock game. You don't feel like I got time to do a high school game in the morning, and you want to play an ankle or 4 hamstrings. All of a sudden, you're gonna have a hard time covering that 3 o'clock game. So just know your limitations a little bit and be conscious of risk assessment. I don't know.
So the remainder of the afternoon will be devoted to the technical zone presentation that we're going to do. We'll run through that. Then we're going to go out onto the small field and do stations related to new laws. From 2 to 3, we'll have the presenter from Solo Shot come in and give the presentation on Solo Shot and that system. Okay? Any questions for the remainder of the day? All right, so we're going to go through this fairly quickly. USA Rugby initiated the policy that clubs, NCRFU, and also high school have adopted the requirement that there be technical zones. That's the document that you have in front of you. Okay. Yeah. These will be emailed out to you. They've already been emailed out, but I can give you electronic copies as well. You can also give this PDF, send it out to teams for lining purposes so that they know how to line the field correctly. Now, there's going to be a variance in terms of what clubs are going to do. Okay, we're not going to be pedantic that if they don't have, if they don't have some sort of fence or area on a field, but you're going to need to make sure that they have separations. They need a technical zone. They need to have barriers. Whatever those barriers are, work with a specific organization. They can be cones, they can be line, they can be ropes, they can be bags. Any number of things can define the technical zone area, but there has to be a technical zone implemented. A lot of this is to reduce or eliminate sideline abuse. There's got to be a clear separation from ARs and spectators and AR and players, and the technical zone initiates that. In areas where technical zones are implemented, they're finding that there is a reduction in the number of incidences of referee abuse, which is what we want. It's hard to recruit a 17-year-old if you've got teams yelling at the kid. He's not going to do it. So we want to encourage this, and we're going to demand that the clubs participate in the technical zone. So no technical zone, no game, plain and simple. Work with the teams to facilitate what that will look like, whether it be ropes, barriers, cones, bags, don't care what, but you got to work with them to make sure that they initiate this. Yes?
Do you have a stadium set up, one side or the other, or you want them both on the
So that's that's why we're going through this. One side, if you look on towards the top of the paper, spectator area. Okay, spectators, they want spectators on one side of the field, teams on the other. All right. That means that you can't have teams on both sides of the pitch. They need to be on one side. And they're on their own specific side. All right. So designate one side as spectator area, designate the other side as player area. But do not deviate from that. Can there be spectators on both sides? Certainly. But make sure that there's a separation between spectators and players. The NCRFU have been told that they're going to be doing this. I'm going to work with the NCRFU to make sure that this is implemented. We've been in meetings with the executive committee. They know that this is coming down. And one of the major goals is from the executive committee is that each member of NCRFU do this. They're being required to do it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as an example, Golden Gate area, okay, you've got that spectator side. You've got that narrow side on the far side. That's what you're talking about, correct? We can work with that. Okay, we did it all for the sevens. So we did it for sevens last week. It can be done. What that means is that players can't come from that spectator side. They're all going to have to be lined up on that other side. Correct. It's still doable. We did it. Again, we did it. We did it. Yep. No, they're not. I mean, we were there. We were there yesterday. Yeah, they did. College, yes. So when I say NCRFU, I apologize, but when I talk about NCRFU, I'm talking about college clubs, men's, women's. They're all being required to do it. The colleges, as an example, Division 1A, they're in full implementation for it. The elite, the small colleges, I believe they're in full compliance. So, Cal, you've got that area where you've got the spectator side and there's nobody over there. That's where the full grandstands are. You've got the other side that's set up for some participants. Players are sitting in those small grandstands. Okay, they can still sit there. We will have it. There'll be a technical zone there. We'll have to play around with it. There's always going to be specific areas. Correct. And so, to my knowledge, we've got to have them on both sides. We can't have them on both. What's that? We're going to have to work with it. No.
They have enough room for the other team, as much room as they do in San Francisco Golden.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You are not starting a game if they don't have a technical zone set up. Plain and simple. We can discuss what this is going to look like. We can negotiate and work with them to set it up. But there will be technical zones or there is no game. Plain and simple. The clubs have been given that directive. Agreed. And so when we have these practice games that are coming up, this is the perfect time to get all those things ironed out. The practice games, they are going to be working with you and working with the referees to ensure. I would suggest that you take pictures initially. When you get it set up, take a picture of it. Memorialize the event so that we have what they've set up and what they've looked like. Yes.
Your group needs to set up a Pearson column, just get SSP and then we'll do.
We don't want to not play games.
No.
Again, you know, all have kit bags, have them arrange kit bags in a box. There's a technical.
Right. Not that I'm aware of. We gotta work. They gotta work through it. Not yet.
Is this gonna be really enforced?
I'm sorry? This is enforced now, but we've got practice time. We've got practice games coming up that we can get all of the kinks ironed out. But that's been the directive from USA Rugby, that we're gonna have the technical zones. As the chairman, I think that it does make a difference in terms of what you're presenting to a public, but also there's a separation of referees, ARs, that thing that's going to lead to less issues of referee sideline abuse. And ultimately, the purpose of having the technical zones is to do that. It's to mitigate the number of players that are roaming around, that you've identified the water carriers, the medical staff that have it, okay? The high school elite programs, they're in compliance with it already. Okay, then yeah, it does. Yeah, it does work. It's going to be another thing that the clubs have to work through, but in terms of organization, in terms of development, it's needed. So the list talks about water carriers. Make sure that if there's water carriers, they're identified. Have them turn their shirts. If they don't have pennies, do something that distinguishes. So let's go through this systematically. Any issues with items 1 through 7 on the page? In terms of, there was. That was an NCRFU guideline. I believe it will. I don't know yet.
You know, in all honesty, this is the club, you know, the established sport that we don't have the delegation. Okay, and that's not necessarily the referee society, but the host teams and the 2 teams that are playing. Your conference administrators, there has to be somebody on that pitch that is taking responsibility, not a school administrator, but a game administrator.
Well, this wasn't quite all that.
Well, I know, I mean, like, you know, I had this argument with my dad, who's an NCAA football and wrestling referee, and this is why we'll never get the respect until we start having administrators on the pitch handling this stuff, so the guy in the middle can handle this stuff.
Yeah, and I would suggest as a matter of course that you have this now. Keep it in your bag. Reference it. When you're notifying the teams about who's your ref, you know, that you're the referee, send electronic copy saying, I will be looking at this. Make sure that there are technical zones. If there's no technical zones, we're not going to have a match. Right? And again, I don't want you to be put in a position where they're saying, we're not going to provide technical zones. They don't, sorry, you're not going to get a game, plain and simple. But you're going to work with them to ensure that it's done. And each facility is going to be a little bit unique. You're going to have to work through that, and they're going to have to work through their kinks. Yes, John. No. Wow. Any other questions with the? Thank you for keeping me on time, John. Page 4. Water carriers, medical professionals. No. No. Plain and simple, no. What's that? I don't know. My suggestion would be that you manage it. Okay. If you've got, now here's the one big caveat. Okay. you start having issues with the coaches, then all of a sudden you have a carrot in your pocket saying, listen, if you don't comply with, if you don't stop being a butthead, we're just going to go with 2 coaches on the field. Okay. I'm inviting you as an opportunity because, I mean, as an example, Pleasanton, club I coach for, we have 5 coaches. I don't want to be the one to dictate that one coach is more important than the other. Okay. But that's the reality. Okay. Who wants to go tell Cal that not all of the coaches can be on the sideline? Wrong question. Again. Okay. Spectator area. Any questions on page 5? Page 6, referee abuse. I'm sorry? They're supposed to be on the bench behind you. But however, now look, when we're talking about elite high school, okay, when we're talking about high school will have technical zones as well. High school is unlimited subs, for example. Okay? The elite high school, they're not, but high school in general has rolling subs. All right. So that means that they all can come, they're all going to be back there and they can all come in and out. Again, that technical zone, particularly for the high schools, the number 4, somebody who's the match official that's sitting on that sideline or who's being that person, can record when they're coming in and out. They can report then, you know, and communicate with the referee that they got a player coming on. Again, it'll help you as a referee to help manage that. No. Questions on the area of referee abuse?
If you got a guy in the send-in, how long would this have to leave the field? Obviously, this is a procedural thing, we want over those chairs. If the guy needs to warm up, we're not going to tell him to sit in a chair.
No.
Right? So, you know, if they need water, if they need medical attention while on the sideline, it's not, no, you can't, you know, you have to sit in that chair. I mean, use some common sense.
Other questions?
And so I found that I have a lot of issue with this, that you're now taking away the responsibility that you're giving to the guy.
Agreed.
What if the referees want
Catch up. I agree with you. I think you adjudicate that to the captain. And I'm sorry. I'm not saying just ignore that, but we don't want to become soccer where we don't have the captain being responsible. So you talk to the captain and you say, Captain, I need you to go address the coach, and he's to do it. Now, if he says I'm not going to talk to him, well, fine, then I'll go talk to him. It is. But if you've got a coach that's doing that, there's issues with it to begin with. I guarantee. The Pleasanton girls have no issues with telling me to shut up. So
they are getting the message from us.
Oh, they are. They're very much getting the message from y'all. Okay. Can we jump to page 6? Okay. Now, our responsibility just ends on the field. However, if you do have issues with referee abuse, sideline abuse, we will have, like I said before, the tool that we use to track Yellow cards and red cards will also have in there issues with sideline abuse and sideline management. Okay, there'll be a field in there for you to be able to address that, because the powers that be and the various disciplinary organizations will be hearing from us about it.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's an extremely important point. We had, for example, assistant coach got kicked out by the ref. I went back to the ref, as a commissioner, to get a disciplinary report. We had to fill it out. And it's extremely important that the referees fill out any kind of conduct like that. So not only that, we bring it as a conference to the club's attention, we bring it to the university's attention. Then they clean up their act like quickly.
It's like pulling a red card. You can't go, oh, I changed my mind, I'm not gonna report it. Once it's out, whether he's screwed it up or not. Put that in the report, I pulled a red card in retrospect, I really wish I hadn't. I made a mistake doing it, but I pulled it and we're living with it. Don't say that again. But don't just not report it because you have to change the order.
You're not just doing, you're not doing somebody a favor. You're really hurting the next referee that comes along and has to deal with the player or the coach who knows that they can get away with stuff. That's exactly right.
Right. Any questions on this one? Can we conclude this? All right. Our next present, yeah.
Zero tolerance of any kind ever during that. If I'm getting F-bombs from coaches, spectators, I had a game where I literally had the parents of the other team calling out players on the sideline. Hey, Sid, you're 32, so, you know, and I'm just like, oh, wait, that's a child. That's not an 18-year-old, and you're an adult. You know, zero tolerance for that. It's a little different for youth, you know, like I said, college, and then as you go up the line, like I said, you hate that standard, but it definitely communicates. You gotta get zero tolerance.
And here, from a recruiting perspective, we want to target younger athletes to referee. It is extremely important that we, as the older referees, set the example and show that this is a big deal for us. Again, it's hard to recruit a 17, 18-year-old kid to start reffing when he sees a 40-year-old man getting abused, and it's like, there's no way. They don't have the skills to be able to manage that, and they should not be in a position where they have to manage it. That falls on you as the older, more experienced referees to lay that foundation down. I've had too many conversations with kids and even young adults who are like, I'm not going to do this anymore. This isn't for me. This isn't worth my $50, $70 to get out there and get abused. And so, you know, it's if we want our sport to grow, right now the biggest impacting factor is referees and the lack of quality referees that can keep up with the game. Okay, and we need younger, fitter referees. Everybody agrees with that. But it's got to be a focused effort, not only from the referees, but also from the coaches, the clubs, the spectators, that this is not in our sport. And we have to be different than soccer and football. Because you're seeing, and it's not just in Northern California, it's not just in rugby. You're seeing an exodus of officials in every sport. Okay, we have to be different. Other questions on this? All right. Our next activity, we are going out to the fields. Before we do, John.
Does everybody have a copy of the law? So, before people were actually running that program, we had going out.
One small thing I'm not aware of, with regards to abuse, physical abuse of a man essentially in the United States is an automatic felony.